This busy year in politics will end with lawmakers in session at the State House.
I think it's all in motion, and we feel that we're going to get positive result from it.
From taxes to the White House directive to redraw our congressional lines, we take your questions to the governor and party leaders, while mayors discuss the impact from last session with new tax laws drastically reshaping their budgets. Our In Focus Town Hall starts right now. Good evening and welcome to our In Focus Town Hall. I'm Dan Spieler. We now know the special session will be part of an early session start in December, a time when lawmakers don't typically meet but are technically already on the job to some degree. Two major issues will be on the agenda: debating a redraw of Indiana's congressional maps with a goal to make all 9 districts likely wins for Republicans 1 year from now in the midterms, and also to bring Indiana's tax policies in line with a recent federal change from the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Now, that redistricting debate has put Indiana in the midst of a national conversation. President Trump and Vice President Vance have made direct personal appeals to Indiana lawmakers on this controversial topic of redistricting. The argument from Republicans, which you'll hear from the governor tonight, essentially claims that Democratic states like Massachusetts or Illinois started tipping the scales first.
The Democrats have done it long before we started. They've done it all over the place. They did it in New York. They did it in a lot of different states.
As of today, Indiana is one of 8 states to either redraw its congressional maps or start that process. Several more states have come up as additional potential targets. Texas kicked things off in August, approving new maps that seek to flip 5 Democratic-held seats in the 2026 midterms to Republican seats. California retaliated with state leaders passing new blue-leaning maps, which went to voters just today in a special election. The results on that vote come later tonight. Still, Indiana Republicans have been split over the idea, though some, like State Senator Liz Brown, believe it's Indiana's duty to promote a Republican Congress. Others, like former Governor Mitch Daniels, cautioned against the move.
And when you look at that, so you say, well, that's New England, that's not an Indiana problem. Well, it is. We're not talking about within our state. We're talking on the national level, the Republican voice, because when you go to D.C., yes, you represent your state, but you are voting on national issues. And so that means the voice for Republicans is diluted because New England didn't do their job fairly.
The question that weighs on my mind these days is whether we're dealing, I sometimes say, with a pendulum or a ratchet. We've seen swings both in the issues that dominate our politics and the way in which people practice the politics over the course of American history. And so maybe there'll be a pendulum swing in that in another direction. On the other hand, sometimes when standards are lowered of conduct or discourse, they never bounce back again.
Now, along with the attention on redistricting, taxes have also taken up a lot of space during Governor Braun's first term in office. He made property tax reform his top priority when he became governor. Tonight, we'll talk with some Indiana mayors who've had to reevaluate their budgets because of this new property tax law. And in a few minutes, we'll talk to state legislative leaders about the redistricting session that will now start next month. But we start with my exclusive one-on-one with the governor, who answers questions from you, the viewer, on the direction our state is heading. Here with Governor Mike Braun. Thanks so much for sitting down with us.
My pleasure to do so.
This town hall broadcast that we're holding will focus on a number of ways that the federal government impacts our state government. We see that right now with redistricting and some other issues, and also ways our state government impacts our local governments. We'll talk about that in a minute in terms of property taxes. But let's start with redistricting. Multiple polls have shown that a majority of Hoosiers don't support the idea of redrawing our congressional boundaries. Does that give you any pause?
It does, and when it started, I think it was especially so. Now that there's been time to make the case, especially among Republicans, I'm going to say that could have been maybe in the neighborhood of 60-40, probably for it. And now I think it's north of 80%, approaching 85%.
Amongst Republicans.
Amongst Republicans. And of course, this is a political navigation, and I say, well, why are we doing it? This is similar to when I ran for office property taxes were the big deal. Heard it throughout the year, and it was going to be the big issue. Senate gives me Senate Bill 1, and then they eviscerate it. So we had to take the entire session, among all the other stuff we got done, addressing high health care costs, taking on hospitals, insurance companies. Redistricting, that was a request from where it is impactful at the national level. And when I look at simple things like the 6 bluest states there in New England have been gerrymandered for a long, long time. And one of the 6, Massachusetts, is the same size as we are. Maybe a little bluer than we are red, but we're getting redder, and they've kind of troughed. I mean, they've not had a Republican as a congressman for decades. So leveling that playing field, and the chorus is loud among Democrats and maybe moderate to liberal independents, you expect that. But we've been playing at a disadvantage for as long as they've been like that. Begs the question, well, why would you play their game? When a place is $38 trillion now in debt, run mostly over the years on their policies, it is important that we at least have a level playing field. And regardless, it is in motion. Other states have done it. There'll be 3 to 4 or 5 other Republican states doing it. And Democrats are grasping at straws because they can't gerrymander any further. That's probably the reason politically on a national level.
The big question, will this have the votes in the state Senate?
So let's talk about the span. You've got 40 days in a special session. In a citizen legislature like we've got, people have jobs. So it won't take that long once we get to it, but we're trying to do it in that as early as possible so that we're not pushing the end of that 40-day period. And in the Senate, I'm guessing it was more disproportionately reflective than the rest of our state going into it. But they've heard from their constituents. And I was down a little over a week ago in Bloomington at the Charlie Kirk Honorarium. Young Republicans, young conservatives, overwhelmingly for it. And this is the first time for young conservatives that we've ever been equal to the folks that say they're young liberals, because I think things are turning, mostly based upon bad policies coming from Washington. So in the last 2 months, where there were maybe 4 or 5 that were publicly for it, you know, our count currently is 14 senators publicly for it. I think the White House is keeping track as well, and probably another 8 that privately are for it if it comes up to a vote.
So you think you're close?
We're real close. And the issue in terms of why calling it now is that it would have run into logistics to get it into a public forum. And I think minimally, I've told the Senate it's going to be a organic process. You'll have plenty of time. It was starting not to cascade, but to move very quickly to where we're right under the threshold needed, and we'll need time to discuss it, and here we are.
So we've heard from some of our viewers on this topic, some for, some against, and we have some questions from some of them here. Mike Childers of Noblesville asked, why is Governor Braun kowtowing to Trump, in his words, trying to take steps to eliminate any Democrat representation? While Nicole Jones of Indy asked, why is there such a big push for redistricting? What's your answer to that? Why the big push right now?
I answered it earlier. Democrats have done it to the point where the playing field is so uneven, for the example I just cited earlier, and it to me is a little hypocritical when you're coming from that point of view when it's been out of your playbook. So I think that's why. And when you've got issues, I was there 6 years, and when I saw no interest on the other side of the aisle, and even a third of our own Republican senators not interested in reining it in, and this debt that we're loading onto the backs of our kids and grandkids, shameful. That was never done even in the Great Society days. And I think over the last 4 or 5 decades, we've gotten to a place where something's got to give. I think that's what Trump ran on and was elected on back in 2016, and again here when he ran in 2024.
All right, let's get reaction now from the other side. I'm joined right now by Senate Minority Leader Shelley Yoder and House Minority Leader Phil Giaquinta from Fort Wayne. Senator Yoder, I'll start with you. What's your response to what the governor had to say there? And do you think they'll have the votes for this by December 1st when lawmakers convene to tackle this issue?
Listening to the governor, you can rename it, you can reframe it, you can reroute it, but a power grab is still a power grab. Those in power who are just working to keep that power and not working on behalf of Hoosiers, it's still a power grab.
And do you think they'll have the votes for it by December? That's what a lot of people are wondering now. Is this going to pass?
I only know that there are Hoosiers that are calling, emailing, writing. It's everywhere I go. It's what Hoosiers are talking about. They do not want this. Over 50% of Hoosiers are saying, do not rig our maps mid-district. Don't cheat. How am I supposed to teach my children not to cheat when our own electeds are doing just that in a power grab that isn't going to benefit Hoosiers? It's only going to benefit Washington insiders.
It's an election night tonight, not here in Indiana statewide, but in a number of other states. California's voting on a redistricting plan that would help Democrats to counteract what's happened in Texas and could happen here. But Representative Giaquinta, are you concerned that if that vote passes in California, it could give Republicans more of a rationale to act here in Indiana?
Dan, I'm more concerned what Hoosiers are telling us. Poll after poll after poll will tell you that they do not want the Indiana legislature to redistrict these maps during the middle of a decade. They see it for what it is, which is changing the rules in the middle of the game. And we know why that's happening. It's simple. Folks in Washington that the governor and legislators are hearing from believe that their policies, their bad policies, are going to cost them at the polls next year, and that's why they want to do this. There's nothing more. It's very easy. Well, once you cipher through everything, they know that they're in deep trouble because their policies coming out of Washington D.C., where they want to kick folks off health care, cut taxes for billionaires, are very unpopular, and it's very simple.
Senator Yoder, the Black Legislative Caucus held an event this week opposing redistricting, and certainly there's been a lot of discussion about how a 9-0 map would probably split Indianapolis perhaps into 3 different congressional districts. Would that hold up in court, and do you think an 8-1 map is more of a likelihood in the end that could get through the courts, or maybe a potential place for compromise?
I don't think we want to wait until the courts get involved, and they most likely will. We need to continue to tell Hoosiers we are working on behalf of Hoosiers. We're not working to address Massachusetts' problems or Delaware's problems or, heaven forbid, California's problems. We are elected to serve Hoosiers, and Hoosiers right now are facing unprecedented grocery bills, child care costs, health care costs, housing costs. I mean, the list goes on and on. Our own governor said in that segment that we have to respond to bad policies coming out of Washington, and that's exactly what's happening right now, is cheating the system to address bad policies that are not going to get them the wins that they want.
We have a viewer question here from Tom Kenworthy of Clayton, who asked, ideally when creating a congressional map, which of the following goals do you think should be prioritized? This question's for you, Representative Giaquinta. Would you prioritize compact districts, leaving communities of interest as intact as possible? B, districts drawn to promote a contingent of representatives whose party affiliations most closely match the percentage of state residents supporting each party? C, districts drawn to maximize the number of congressional representatives from the party in power, or something else? What do you think? What should be prioritized here?
I support an independent commission to draw the maps. It's something that House Democrats have put up on the board via amendment. We filed bills. We think it's high time that an independent commission should be formed and should be the ones to draw the maps instead of elected officials drawing their own districts. That's part of the problem that we're seeing here with the polarization, if you will, of the state house, and it's causing great problems. And so I think if you had an independent commission, you would have so many benefits, including a much greater turnout on election day at the polls. So I support an independent commission to draw the maps.
All right, thanks to you both for being here. We really appreciate it. We've got much more coming up here in our town hall as we talk about another important topic tonight. We also spoke with the governor and several local mayors about another big issue, the local impact of property tax reform. Those mayors joined us here in studio to watch and react to more of our interview with the governor. Here it is. I want to talk about property taxes as well. We mentioned it earlier, and it's been an issue that we've heard from a lot of people about. Also, a number of local mayors who've expressed concerns that the property tax bill passed into law last year has negatively impacted their communities. Some of them say to the tune of millions of dollars down the road. What's your message for local communities right now, and do you want to see lawmakers take additional steps to try and make that budgeting process for them smoother here in the years ahead?
So that was a competing cry from a broad array of property taxpayers, mostly on the lower end of the income scale and with home values that would be median to below. Actually begging the question, should you still be paying a property tax after you've paid off your mortgage? Well, it's $8 billion to $10 billion, somewhere in there, closer probably to 10 or 11. You'd have to replace it. So the fact that Biden gave us 25% inflation over 22, 23, and 24, reasonable growth quotient for schools and local governments, you had to raise them roughly 30% to cover real costs that came from afar. Some jurisdictions, schools, and local governments went beyond that. And it happened in too many places to where I asked a simple question: would you ever want to grow government faster than the growth of the economy? People have to think about it, but hardly anyone, even on the more liberal side, would be for that. And that's what we did in many instances through local governments and some school districts. This was to put a lid on it. And by the way, it does give historic relief. 2/3 of the value of all homes will be exempted, starting now on an increasing scale up to 2/3 over 5 years. Transparency, a lot of other things that needed to be added to the reform Mitch Daniels did. What Mitch did never accounted for inflation. That came from afar. This addressed that. And yes, I'm going to always be for healthy school systems and local governments, but not at the expense of the taxpayer to pay for it. And if you want more, do a referendum. Use other forms of revenue, but just don't automatically think you can get it behind an opaque system, which occurred in many jurisdictions. So I've been meeting with mayors, commissioners, local governments to see if there's something we did that was technically incorrect or overburdensome, we could adjust it. But on the other hand, I'm hearing as much clamor, not near as much from either side now, because I think once they look at it, they can see it's a pretty good product, but there's still interest from people that think we didn't go far enough. So we'll be listening to both, and I think you're going to see over time more concern about property taxes being a way to finance government, because a home is the main thing we want everyone to own, and it shouldn't be burdened with undue costs, especially after you've paid off your mortgage.
You mentioned some of the clamor from people who thought maybe it didn't go far enough, and we have another question from a viewer here. This is from Debbie Daniels of Nineveh, who said, Governor Braun, you campaigned on slashing property taxes, but the 10% tax credit you signed into law was capped at $300 starting next year. She asks, how has this helped everyday Hoosiers, and what's your plan for what she calls genuine property tax?
So we scrapped on that for the entire session. It came down to a week before the session was over, and it passed with 2 votes to spare. So remember, they eviscerated that bill, and it was a question, did you veto it and start over? Some think you should have done that. I think that would have been an error, because I wanted to bank these savings and then see what you can do down the road. I think by far most people think that is reasonable. Some wanted to eliminate property taxes in total, or at least do something that would have been more austere out of the gate. We worked hard to get to where we were, to get historic relief done, and that $300 may not be meaningful to someone that owns $1 million home, but it does to most of the people that are at the median or below. And think about the fact that 2/3 of a home will be exempted by 31. And then we got to be responsible to see what other areas you could create revenue in and lean up government along the way if you want to lower tax burden in general, and I'll strive for that.
So how difficult is it to thread that needle between viewers like Debbie, who wrote in wanting to see more property tax reform, and the mayors of these many local communities who say this is already burdensome on their budget?
I'm a little disappointed maybe in not looking to see how you can run things more efficiently, but I appreciate it. Most of those local governments were inundated with higher costs, some more than others, and it was again inflation from the federal government that did all of this. If you go back to pre-22, there weren't these kinds of discussions. Of course, we had inflation under control due to reasonable things happening in DC, but we've been borrowing more and more, and now that seems to be the way we want to grow the federal government, which is completely off the rails. When you, in an enterprise, borrow 30% of everything that you spend, that doesn't happen in a household, local governments, school districts, state governments. That's where it came from. Trying to satisfy each extreme viewpoint is difficult to do.
All right, let's hear from some of those mayors now, starting with the mayors of Zionsville, Carmel, Kokomo, and Noblesville. What's your response to what we just heard there from Governor Braun, and how does that square with the impact you're seeing in your city budgets as a result of this bill? Mayor Finkelman, I'll start with you.
Well, as a taxpayer, I'm thrilled. I'm going to get a discount on my taxes I've been paying and still get the same great quality services. But as an executive, it's a bit challenging. We're about $10 million less than we expected, so that adds to what we've been working on all of 2024, and that's austerity measures. So we're trying to refine how we do things without cutting back services, so our community stays special like it is.
Mayor Stair, what's the impact been in your community in terms of the
We don't want to
financials?
be Carmel. We're not like Carmel. We have a lower budget basis. It's going to affect us about $1.3 million in 2026, 1.6 the year after that, maybe 2.5 in 2028. So it's a big impact on us. And I understand where the governor's coming from. He's looking at the big picture, and not every town is situated the same way our towns are. I get that. But for us, I'm looking at the micro version. I'm looking at Zionsville, and it is a huge impact on us. It's 3% of our budget. 3% of our budget is a lot. So we've asked our departments to cut back on their budget where they can. We will not compromise on public safety. We cannot. That's not the place to cut. We're not going to be laying off anyone, but it's going to be awfully tight. And a lot of the professional services that we're used to. We're going to pave fewer miles of road next year. We're looking at things like parks and those quality of life issues, and we're going to have to, find some economies there. You can't do that forever. We can do that for the short term, and I think we have a short-term situation and a long-term situation. Short-term is going to be very, very hard, and short-term to me is 26, 27, and possibly 28.
Nobody wants to pay higher taxes, right? But the reality also is that a lot of people move to your communities because of the amenities, because of the schools. How do you balance all that out, Mayor Jensen?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for the question. And I think, again, I agree with my fellow mayors that we want to make sure folks can stay in their home. We want to make sure that we have vibrant communities. We in Noblesville adopted a hardship program years ago to make sure folks that need a hand up get that. I think at the end of the day, people vote with their feet. And you're talking to some mayors that have some of the fastest growing communities in the Midwest. And there are expectations around our school system, around our infrastructure plans. We have a 10-year capital improvement plan that has $800 million of unfunded projects on it. We'll make adjustments there accordingly to continue going forward. But there are going to be some challenges next year when you look at those roundabouts that were planned for 2026 and 27 are now
you all have a lot
29
of roundabouts,
and
by the way, yes.
I know I'm sitting to the right here of somebody who's the capital of that. But we will see some delays in those quality of life investments that people have told us front and center. That's why they chose to move to Zionsville, Carmel, Noblesville, and Kokomo.
What's the impact going to be in your community? Mayor Moore, what are you expecting here in the months and years ahead?
Yeah, so obviously we're in the same boat, but different sizes, but it's a situation where really one size doesn't fit all with this legislation.
What we're doing is probably the most efficient government anywhere in the state of Indiana, is that local government. The more local you get, the more efficient I think it is.
Well, Dan, if I can just chime in too, I think the things we hear about, I think local Hoosiers are sick of hearing the blame game go on. You know, and I would welcome the governor into all of our communities to come have a face-to-face conversation and stop blaming our friends in Washington. Focus on real ideas, the real things that we're doing every single day.
All right, and recently we also sat down with another group of mayors from Beech Grove, Bloomington, and Marion.
There's a lot of unknowns with how it's going to affect the local municipalities. Being the city of Beech Grove, a city surrounded by a city, it's a little tough, but we're looking at other avenues of bringing in additional revenue.
What I would hope is that the state would listen to us, locally, and consider that the needs that we have in our local municipalities, because it's not just a one swipe of a pen fix everything for every city, because the city of Marion is different from Bloomington, which is different from Beech Grove.
Do you think they're focused on the right issues at the State House?
Absolutely not. I think redistricting is all party politics. And if we want good government and we want to actually do well for the people who live in our municipalities, it's critical that local services are top notch.
We've got more of that conversation on our website. Finally, we also heard from the mayors of Greenwood and Lawrence.
A lot of municipalities are growing and they're doing great things. And people might look at it and say they're overspending or overextending, but do they really get down and look at the nuts and bolts of what it's taken to get there and how creative it's been to get there? And if the lawmakers think that there are certain municipalities, then they ought to just talk to those municipalities and not make the entire state pay for one person's problem.
You need to have the people that are running the day-to-day operations at the table. Because depending on the results you see, not every mayor is upset. I mean, how do you expect us to continue to do the services that we need to protect our residents, to make sure that you could grow? You know, one of the things in Lawrence, we are trying to look at development, homes, bringing in more homes, affordable housing. And so there's things that we need to do. But we also have to understand that we should not have to take things from someone else that's not at our table, that's not in our offices, that's not in our cities, and making decisions for us.
All right, you can see our full conversation on our streaming app, Fox 59 Now, and on our website at fox59.com. And join us here every Sunday morning on Fox 59 and CBS4 to get in focus on the week in politics. With the redistricting debate coming to the State House next month, there will certainly be a lot to discuss. We'll continue to break it all down for you right here every week. And we'll have election results for you tonight as well. Avon's got a school levy that's passing so far. We'll have all of that for you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for submitting all your questions as well. Have a great night.